Speed, strength, mindset. Every athlete has traits that make them dangerous, but which ones really matter the most? Today, we're breaking down every major athletic trait, from explosiveness to mobility, and ranking them from must-have to overrated. Honestly, strength is a little overrated. This is our third tier list now, and the first two have really surpassed my expectations. So I'd really appreciate if you took the time to subscribe because each of these take a week or two of work. Whether you're an athlete or a coach, this tier list will change how you train forever. Let's dive in, and by the end, you'll understand how each trait plays a role in athletic success and which ones give you the biggest of edges. But before we start, keep in mind, we're going to be ranking these athletic traits based on how they apply to the stereotypical popular sports. In specialized sports like the 100-meter sprint or powerlifting, there's really no point in ranking anything other than the one trait of the sport. Speaking of speed, this trait is basically a cheat code. If you're incredibly fast, you will find a role on nearly every team. In sports like football, baseball, or soccer, even if your skills aren't perfect, speed alone can change the game. There's some guys like Billy Hamilton who've made an entire career just off of speed. And then you've got stars like Tyreek Hill or Kylian Mbappe. Their speed doesn't just help them, it makes them elite. Now I actually just dropped a full breakdown on how you can improve your speed. In that video I mentioned 5 key categories to train, but 2 of the biggest are force production and fast twitch fiber development. Force production increases stride length, and fast twitch fibers give us faster stride frequency. Combine those 2 and you get elite speed. The only difficulty with speed is that when you train it, it will fatigue you fast, especially when you're also practicing your main sport at the same time. That means when you do it, make sure you're fresh and make sure you're getting enough recovery as well. Speed is 100% in our difference maker tier, because in most sports, without it, you will never see your true potential. Next up, we got muscle mass. When you see a guy like Lane Johnson on the line or someone like David Robinson in the paint, you know that they're dominating their sport with size and strength. Muscle mass helps you absorb impact, deliver force, and control space in your sport. Giannis is the perfect modern example. Once he added muscle, his whole game leveled up. Building muscle is simple. Eat in a surplus and train hard. Volume is your friend if you're trying to grow. But here's the thing. Muscle mass isn't always a good thing. Rafa Nadal and Cristiano Ronaldo both actually lost muscle to get quicker and more mobile, and it worked. Too much size can hurt your endurance and slow you down. So while muscle is important, it's very context dependent. That leaves us in a tricky spot. We're going to be putting muscle mass in the great tier. Although if you look the part, you can usually play the part. Muscle mass alone will not get you to where you want to go. Strong helps in nearly every sport, especially when you need to absorb or apply force. Strength supports sprinting, jumping, tackling, and pretty much every movement that involves power. Stronger athletes usually perform better in the weight room, on the field, and in the recovery process of your sport. But in some sports, honestly, strength is a little overrated. Take a wide receiver in American football, for example. Don't get me wrong, it definitely helps to be strong. But timing, speed, and route running matter way more than strength does. Still, raw strength is a foundation for athleticism. It makes basically everything else easier to build. Strength is trained a variety of ways, but just like muscle mass, it's best trained in a weight room, but with less volume. Sets of 3 to 8 on major lifts is where we're going to be training strength, whereas for muscle mass, we're often going to be higher than that. We're going to be putting strength in the great tier, alongside muscle mass for similar reasons. It's a staple of athletics. When you combine strength with other traits like speed and explosiveness, you really start to see its dominant effects. Hand-eye coordination is a must-have for any sport with a ball, and even some without. Baseball, tennis, soccer, hockey, they all live and die by how well they can track time and react. It's what lets athletes like Wayne Gretzky and Novak Djokovic shine in their respective sports. Whether it's slapping a puck perfectly in a corner of a goal or reacting to a serve at well over 100 miles an hour, this trait separates the elite from the average. It's especially critical in sports with high-speed reactions and complex skills under pressure. In basketball, to make clutch free throws, you have to have so much coordination that even the nerves don't affect how well you perform. We train hand-eye coordination primarily through playing a variety of sports growing up and continuing to be exposed to it throughout our life. From a strength coach's perspective, hand-eye coordination training is limited. However, we can incorporate hand-eye coordination into things like speed drills and balance exercises. Hand-eye coordination is going to be a key to success, because when you're an exceptionally coordinated athlete, you can play basically any sport well, and mastering a sport simply becomes a matter of putting in the hours. Just like most of the other traits, if you combine hand-eye coordination with 1 or 2 other traits, That's how you're going to end up being a pro athlete. Flexibility is the foundation of a safe and effective movement. It allows joints to move through full ranges of motion passively without restriction. Many people confuse mobility and flexibility, but they do have a clear difference. While mobility refers to the body's ability to actively move through its full range of motion in sport, flexibility is the ability to stretch, which involves body tissues including muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Flexibility plays a role in all sports to a varying degree. However, it plays a major role in sports like wrestling, gymnastics, and jiu-jitsu, where athletes need to move into extreme positions at all times. It's also key for kickers in football and pitchers in baseball who need optimal joint angles for performance. However, this is where we toe the line between mobility and flexibility, as these two examples have a heavy mobility component need. I don't think a component need is a real word, but I hope you get what I meant. Flexibility also helps with movement efficiency, posture, and soft tissue health as well. And while it's not the most exciting trait, admittedly, flexibility does allow you to stay healthy and consistent. And consistency is what builds greatness. With that being said, it is going to go in the good tier, because it's definitely a benefit to a lot of sports. However, it's not going to beat out most of these other superior athletic traits. Cardio is your ability to perform at high levels over a long period of time. Without it, your talent fades just after a few plays. It's important to know that there's an important distinction to be made between endurance and cardio. When we talk about endurance, we're really talking about two parts. Cardiovascular endurance, which is this trait, is your heart and lungs' ability to keep your body fueled, and muscular endurance, which is how long your muscles can keep firing without giving out. We don't have muscular endurance in this tier list, but in my opinion, it's more important than cardio. In sports like soccer, basketball, and tennis, you need to keep a high tempo for extended stretches of time. And great cardio allows you to stay sharp when others get tired. In sports like these, cardio is pretty important. However, in many other sports, you get breaks that allow you to recover. If you aren't strong, fast, and explosive, it really doesn't matter how long you can perform at your best, because your best is just not that high. It's my belief that raising your ceiling is more effective than raising your floor. For these reasons, it's going to go in the good tier. Just like flexibility, it's something to train, but there aren't many sports where cardio should be your main athletic trait that you should excel at. That might rile some people up, but let me know in the comments what you think. Body control is up next, and it's the ability to move precisely, balance under pressure, and adapt while you move. Think of a wide receiver in American football making a jumping catch or contorting to snag a ball. Another good example is a basketball player receiving contact and adjusting their body to finish the basket. Elite athletes, especially team sport ones, all have something in common. They all master their center of gravity and spatial awareness. I could continue on giving examples for every major sport, because body control and proprioception are some of the most undertrained and underrated aspects of any sport. If you're a sports coach or a player, you all know that guy that can catch anything playing catch, or that guy that doesn't miss shooting free throws. But as soon as everything gets put into motion, he turns into a pumpkin. This is because his skills are not adapted alongside superb body control. People like LeBron James and Jamar Chase are two great examples that come to mind of players that could take their body control to most major sports and find success. Another reason body control is so powerful is because you actually don't need as much athleticism and genetics to succeed in sports. Guys like Luka Doncic and Messi aren't physical specimens per se. However, they have mastered their bodies so well that they seem like they're playing the game in slow motion. Sadly, body control isn't easy to train in an isolated setting, and you often need a training partner to get better at it. Personally, I would highly recommend cross-training jiu-jitsu or wrestling, because after starting to grapple, I feel way more in touch with where my body is at all times. If you're a wide receiver, basketball is also a great sport to cross-train with as well. Apart from that, I would recommend pairing the speed and agility drills that make you faster with some dynamic body control drills. Some examples of these are advanced lateral drills, and by this I mean the challenging ones, not just alley shuffle, and lateral drills like skate hops that teach you how to land controlled. Even though body control may not have been your first thought when thinking of athletic traits, it's going to go on our highest tier because of how ridiculously important it is for athletics and injury prevention as well. Mobility is similar to flexibility, but it's the ability to move freely and powerfully through ranges of motion in our sport. Unlike flexibility alone, mobility includes strength and stability at end ranges. If you want to sprint faster, lift more, or jump higher, mobility matters for you. Mobility also plays a key role in injury prevention and recovery, because athletes with good mobility are able to absorb force more efficiently, move with less compensation, and reduce the stress that's on their joints over time. Whether you're lunging for a ball or planting to change direction, better mobility equals smoother and safer movement. Mobility training should include loaded stretching, for example, a deep sumo squat with a dumbbell, and movement drills that challenge joint integrity and strength at end ranges. Good mobility training also ensures that your tendons are keeping up with your muscles. Because if you aren't progressing through a full range of motion, you may be getting the same muscle growth without the necessary tendon adaptations, which can be dangerous. In my opinion, I think that's what happened to me and why I ended up with 3 knee tears. Overall, mobility matters a ton in combat and rotational sports, among others. So it's going to go in the great tier. Just like the others it's ranked near, it's going to complement other traits rather than being the sole reason you are a stud athlete. But you totally need it, and it does help a ton, so it's going to go in the great. Deceleration is stopping power, the ability to hit the brakes on your own momentum and still stay in control. It shows up every time an athlete cuts, lands, or changes direction with precision. Think about it. What good is elite speed if you can't stop on a dime or transition into a different movement? In football, this is the cornerback slamming on the brakes to match a receiver's cut. In basketball, it's the defender staying grounded when someone hits a crossover. And in volleyball, it's the clean landing after a spike, getting ready for the next move. A huge bonus, good deceleration helps prevent non-contact injuries like ACL tears. It's one of the most important traits for staying healthy while performing at a high level. The tricky thing is, most fans overlook it. You won't see an ESPN top 10 plays for deceleration. Coaches and scouts will absolutely notice. We can train deceleration by doing exercises like depth jumps and Olympic lifts where we practice absorbing force. It's also useful to train eccentrics to get a deceleration stimulus as well as training both the anterior and posterior sides of the body to ensure that we're well balanced. You want to dominate, change of direction, and stay bulletproof? You got to train your deceleration. It's going to be a key to success because in most team and even individual sports, absorbing force and decelerating are going to be needed in every second of play. Mindset is the simplest but maybe the hardest superpower in sports. Everybody sees the highlight reel, but what they don't see is what fuels it. The mindset that got the athlete there in the first place. This is the stuff that's never going to show up on a stat sheet. It's the grit to train when no one's watching, the ability to block out distractions, the resilience to bounce back after failure mid-match or game. Not once, not twice, but every single time. That's what celebrates talent from greatness. Think about Tom Brady. Pick 199. He wasn't the most athletic, wasn't the fastest, but his unshakable belief, his preparation, and his drive made him the GOAT. Same with Serena. When the pressure's on and the lights are the brightest, she's unbreakable. And Michael Jordan? His whole career was built on an obsession with winning. That's mindset. Mindset is what turns potential into reality. And the best part, unlike height or genetics, mindset is entirely trainable. You can sharpen it with habits, early mornings, visualization, journaling, prayer. Champions always find a way to get their mind right before they ever step onto the court or field. When you live your life like a champion, every minute becomes a training session. Without mindset, talent fizzles out. With it, even an average athlete can dominate. It's a difference maker, no question about it. Explosiveness is the secret weapon that makes your athletes pop off the screen. It's your ability to produce maximum force in minimum time, the boom factor behind every highlight reel. We're talking about sprint starts, vertical jumps, knockouts in combat sports. This is what turns athleticism into fireworks. Think about Zion taking off from the paint, Tyreek Hill going from 0 to 60 before defenders can react, or a volleyball player timing a perfect leap for a game-winning spike. That's explosiveness. What's even crazier, explosiveness is super trainable. Yeah, it's largely genetic, fast twitch fibers and tendon lengths, but you can absolutely develop it. The key is in how you train. Olympic lifts, plyometrics, sprints, and sled work are all great work to create the adaptation you're going for. You need intent and intensity. This is not the trait you train by going through the motions. It's short bursts, max effort, full focus. Recovery matters too. Explosiveness fades fast when you're gassed, so only train when you're actually fresh. Almost every sport benefits from explosiveness. Whether you're reacting to a play or initiating a movement, being the first to move and doing it with force gives you a massive edge. It's a key reason why some athletes seem to move different. With that being said, it's going to be our last key to success. Vision is our last athletic trait, and it's a hidden superpower that separates elite athletes from the rest. It's not just about having sharp eyesight. It's about the processing of the game in real time, anticipating plays before they unfold, and making split-second decisions that can change the outcome of a game. Consider athletes like Patrick Mahomes, who can scan the field and find open receivers in the blink of an eye, or point guards like Chris Paul, who orchestrate the offense with precision, seeing passing lanes that others can't. And back to soccer again, players like Lionel Messi navigate through defenders with an almost supernatural awareness of space and movement. 2 fascinating explorations of these concepts. are presented in the video. Elite athletes see a different world by the science of sport, and also How I Become Radicalized About the Eyesight of Sport by Anthony Lawson. Both of these videos delve into how top athletes train their brain to process visual information more efficiently, allowing them to react faster and make better decisions under pressure. These videos highlight the importance of peripheral vision, pattern recognition, and the ability to anticipate opponents' moves. These skills are honed over years of practice and experience. These videos were great, so if you want to check them out, I'll have them linked in the description. Developing this kind of vision isn't solely about natural talent. It's also about deliberate practice. Drills that simulate game situations, video analyses, and cognitive training exercises can all enhance an athlete's ability to read the game. By improving these skills, athletes can gain a significant edge over their competition. Overall, vision is how you go from a great player to an elite one, but it is going to go in the good tier, as much as I'd like to put it higher. Despite this, it is important to remember your vision because so few people actually train it. There it is, the full breakdown of the athletic trait tier list. Each and every one of these traits plays a major role in performance. When you know which ones matter the most for your sport and your position, you can train much smarter. Remember, it's not about maxing out every single trait. It's about finding the right combo that gives you your competitive edge. Maybe it's speed plus coordination. Maybe it's speed plus explosiveness or strength plus explosiveness. The best athletes don't have all the traits maxed out. They've mastered the few that matter the most in their sport. If you're a coach, take these tiers and apply them to your own program. If you're an athlete, think about your weaknesses and how you're training. One or two of these could be the key to unlocking your next level. And if this helped you, hit that like button and subscribe because I spent quite a bit of time on this. I've also got more breakdowns coming soon on how to train each of these traits in detail. Trust me, you don't want to miss those. Drop a comment below. Which trait do you think is the most slept on? Let's talk. I'll see you in the next one.